So I reiterate here, the bill is dead.
The story of this great city is about the years before this night. We are free!
Hey, this is Ho Ho Hong Kong. I am Andy Curtin, and unfortunately Vivek, he's under the weather a bit this week, so can't make it, but I'm pretty excited to get our guest on this week. We got Keith Goodman. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Hi, Andy. You're only pretty excited. I'm a bit disappointed. I was hoping for very excited.
Oh, it's my Australian euphemism. That's our maximum. It ranges from pretty excited down to mostly excited.
Fair enough.
There's not much else in there. Hey, thanks for coming on today, man.
You're welcome.
So you've got a band. Is there anything you want people to find you online, social media, or anything like that?
Oh, you want me to get the plugs done early before they tune out?
They might. People have short attention spans.
Well, the band's called The Sleeves. We're on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, The Sleeves. Original British indie rock.
Yeah, and that's great. And you got Pete Gordon from Magnetic Asia as well.
Yeah, he's our lead guitarist. He can play the guitar. I just hold one and make a lot of noise and sing.
That's great, man. It's good intro too. So music came well before you were running shows and stuff, I guess.
Well, I've always loved music. Yeah, I think my performing it, I was pretty late to the party there. Someone could say midlife crisis.
Interesting. Yes, it's the other way around. Anyway, if you're enjoying the podcast, please hit subscribe. It's the best way to find out we got a new episode out, so that'd be awesome. So why don't we get back to, how did you end up in Hong Kong? What was your start to being in the city?
The first time I came to visit a friend, a uni friend in 91.
91?
Yeah, okay, all right, steady, settle down. I'll take it as a compliment, obviously don't look my age.
Don't.
I came to visit a uni friend 91, spent 2 weeks sleeping on his floor and pretty much partying in Lang Kwai Fong, I guess, at that time.
So was LKF wild in 91? Does it go back that
Certainly
far?
wilder than it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I think it's probably mid to late 80s.
Really?
Started, yeah. It was certainly wild when I was here in 91. Had a great time. Went back to the UK and thought, right, I've got to somehow wangle a way to get back to living in Hong Kong.
How different? Obviously there are a lot of differences, but what are kind of the main differences between then and now in terms of the city? The city's changed a lot, right?
Well, the main thing I noticed in the 2 weeks I was here compared to now is that in those days all the barmen were Westerners.
Yeah.
Because anyone could come here and work with a British passport, and so a lot of people would basically go travelling for a year and then hang out in Thailand and wherever for 2 or 3 months, and then when they ran out of cash they'd come and work in Hong Kong for a month or so, and then they could go and do another 3 months in Thailand.
And was it, there weren't as many bars, I would guess, it wasn't as diverse a nightlife? Yeah,
I don't think I was only here for a couple of weeks, but there's still a lot of bars. Enough for me.
So how long did it take you to get back here?
I got back here in 94, and I transferred with the company that I work for to their office here in 94 and spent a couple of years here then. And then I went to Melbourne, actually. After that.
Yeah, really?
Yep. Then back to London. And once I'd sort of tried a few other places, I realised that Hong Kong is probably the best balance of work and life and fun.
Geographically and culturally halfway between London and Australia.
Yeah, I did try other places, and I can, based on my research, I can say that for me, Hong Kong was and is the best place to be. So I've been back here since 2002.
And so you were part of the team that run the Wanch.
Yeah, we took it on in 2010.
But it's got a much bigger history than that, yeah.
Yeah, it was opened in 1987. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Howard Mackay.
And was it originally was music always the big focus?
Yeah, it was. I think it was originally called the Wanch Folk Club. That's the full name of it, the Wanch Folk Club, and it got
that was a name upgrade.
Well, and it doesn't just the name got shorter and the musical genres got broader, so it became the Wanch, and then basically it was any live music really.
When did you first go there?
Ooh, I think that would have been 94. So after that initial holiday fortnight, I came back and lived here in 94. So that at that point, between 94 and 97, it became a sanctuary for me, really, because I love rock music, I love live music. And then, much like now, there wasn't a lot of places in town where you could go and watch bands play. So yeah, I used to kind of drop anchor in the corner of the bar there and prop the bar up and drink myself stupid all night and watch the bands.
What kind of bands were coming through?
There wasn't many bands coming through in those days. It was a pretty regular. There were certain bands who would play certain nights.
And
So
are
it was
they
almost like
expat?
yeah,
What country are they from?
Yeah,
Like
mostly expats here. Yeah, there's one band.
British or
There's a band called the Bastards. I used to like to go and watch.
that's just as an outsider. That sounds like a super British name for a band.
Yeah, I think they were. There's an Aussie drummer, American guitarist, and I think the rest of the guys were Brits. But the singer Dan, who still lives on Lammer, he used to. It used to be quite hard work just to keep up with him on the drinking. So I would actually be in there only drinking, and he would be in there performing and drinking, and yet he still managed to put away more beer and end up on the floor. So yeah, it was quite an
Was
entertainment.
Wanch always kind of what it is now? Like
Well, what is it now?
red
It's
light
not- it's-
district. It's
I
bit,
don't think it's anything now.
bit grungy.
I would say now it's nothing because it's going through this sort of transitional. Well, I guess a lot of places are right now with what's happening in the world. But
yeah, but I mean, like for
I
some
think
of the
Wanch has lost its mojo a little bit because not the Wanch, but Wanch has lost its mojo a bit because there was definitely a movement about 3 or 4 years ago where there was one particular building which had a lot of bars in that got redeveloped, and then the crowd kind of moved to Soho. I mean, in the old days, people used to go out and have drinks and dinner in the early evening in Central and Lan Kwai Fong, maybe even in Soho. And then after that, sort of around 11 midnight, there was this migration to Wanchai to party into the small hours. And Wanchai was the place where you ended an evening, and it was a party place. And I think it's lost that a little bit in recent times. But that building has now almost finished being redeveloped, so hopefully it'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, I've only lived here like since the protests were on. So I
Right.
moved here last year.
Okay.
So like the two things that stand out for me in Wanchai is number one, you know, it's got the real British pubs, you know, like Churchill's and the Queen Vic and stuff. And then you've got like really open kind of, I don't know, are they hookah bars or whatever, people grabbing you off the street. I mean, there's no other place in Hong Kong
Couldn't possibly say.
Yeah, but you got to admit, like, that's pretty tied into the character of that part of town.
Well, but that's the history of the area, right? I mean, this goes back to the 60s from Vietnam War and so on. That's the American, the Fleet Arcade, which is actually, funny enough, the building I now work in, Harcourt House. We used to be on the edge of the water. That was where the harbour started.
That's where the water was.
Yeah, and that was the
That blows my mind, by the way. For people who don't know,
Yeah.
basically anything flat in Hong Kong
Yeah.
is not supposed to be there.
quite.
It's
That's
all
right.
reclaimed
That's right.
land.
Well, so the ships used to the sailors would come in there, and in that particular building, in its old form, you could get a haircut, you could get some shirts made, you could get a suit made, you could pick up your post, send telegrams to your family or whatever, and that was all happening within that building, and then out through the back door would take you into Jaffa Road, Lockhart Road, which is where all the brothers were.
Do you know the song
it's a
K
history.
San?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I always think about like
Cold Chisel, right?
was it Cold Chisel? It was Jimmy Barnes, but I don't know who he was singing with. Is that Cold Chisel?
think it is, yeah.
Anyway, look it up. But the one line he says, "I'm going to hit that Hong Kong mattress all night long." Like that to me is like he went to Wanchai. That's
go.
where he went.
So I think compared to the 60s, it's probably cleaned itself up a fair bit. But yeah, there's still that pockets of legacy, shall we say. I mean, the Wanch itself was called the Diamond Club, and that was another one, another curtain bar.
You can figure out what that means.
They're all named after you,
Curtain
mate.
bar.
They are, they're
Don't
all
put
called-
this by me.
They are, they're named after you.
So what was the rock scene like? I mean, the Wanch was pretty instrumental in giving a platform for bands that wanted to,
Yeah, well,
Get a start.
we prided ourselves on that, and hopefully we'll do again one day. I think in the 20th century, pre-millennium, there was probably less bands in total. Most of the bands that did exist were playing cover music, cover songs, not writing their own music. There were some bands writing original music, but nowhere near as many as there are now. So I think that's been the big change. There are now far more bands, which is good, I guess. People a bit and far more original music.
What about locals being involved as well?
Yeah, well, there's both. I mean, when we have the festival, which we did have this year, but somehow we were lucky. We got in that little 3
That's
week.
ridiculous.
Well, we
by
were
the
just
way.
so lucky. We just got there was that 3 or 4 week window when live music was allowed again. And that just happened to be one of those 3 or 4 weeks was the week we always have our festival. We have 80 bands on. These are all local bands, and last year, less so this year, but last year there was about 130 bands wanting to play that week. So there's a lot of creativity going on. There's a lot of people writing music, and that has definitely changed since the 90s. There's much more people making music, I think, because I think it's easier to make music now as well. You can make music in your own bedroom, or at least write it, and you could even record it in your bedroom now, whereas you couldn't do that before without a studio.
Just the technology and platforms
exactly.
online and stuff like that. But just to go down that rabbit hole a little bit. So you guys have the H2 Music Festival.
Yep, that's basically the Wanch's annual celebration of everything we do the rest of the year. Or if you haven't been to the Wanch before, it's an introduction to what we do.
And it's
year
crazy, right? Like you said you had 80. I think I saw you had 100 bands one year.
I don't think we've ever hit. Well, we certainly have 130 applied one year.
Okay, right,
but
yeah.
I think 80 is the most we've ever had.
Over what, like
performing.
7 nights or something?
8 nights, yeah.
8 nights.
Yeah.
So
Nearly
10
kills me.
bands a night. That's
Yeah, well, on the weekend
That's an
nights,
intense
we
running.
start a bit earlier in the afternoon so we can...
so how many years have you been doing that for?
Since we took it on. In fact, that's how it started. We took it on in 2010, and
So that you inherited that when you took over the
no,
Wanch?
not at all. I mean, when we took on the Wanch, it was it was a bit neglected, a bit forgotten. It was still there, and bands were still playing. But I think a lot of people who maybe had gone there previously had didn't even know it was still there anymore. And that's how the festival started. We wanted to do something that gave people a reason to come down and rediscover it, and then we were pretty confident that when they came down, they'd have a good time and they'd want to come back. We just needed to get them there in the first place, right? So we did the first year. We had a one-day festival. It was called Handover Hallelujah because we did it on the handover holiday on the 1st of July, and it was to say, Hallelujah, we've taken on the Wanch and we're going to inject fresh ideas, energy, life into it. So come down and see what we're up to.
Sorry, on the anniversary of the Hong Kong City handover,
Correct,
right?
yeah, because it's a public holiday. Well, this is why over time it then became H2, because between 2010 and 2020, the concept
Celebrating
of
the handover.
Yeah, suddenly handover wasn't such a positive thing in many people's eyes here.
So let me ask you a question on that point. Do you think it's a negative thing for the locals who didn't want the handover to happen, or do you think it's who are you worried about? Because there's different perspectives on that.
Well, we don't want to be political.
You just don't want any
because
not apolitical.
music is for everyone, right? Regardless of what you might feel, what football team you support, or what you might feel about other aspects of life. To us, music it's a universal language that we all.
You just want to get
speak.
away from the politics of it.
Yeah, I mean, because we want the Wanch to be somewhere where everyone can play and somewhere where everyone can enjoy live music. So if you start, I mean, I don't even know what the political views are of my fellow shareholders and so on, but I'm not really that interested either. We didn't come together because of politics, so why involve it? There's enough opportunity to talk about politics and debate that around town. You don't need to me, music is a type of escapism, right? So it's where you get away from all the stresses and hassles of life and just enjoy the music for what it is. So we didn't want to politicize it. So as soon as it suddenly became by default political, then we changed the name to H2, which is the HH is
current name now.
Yeah. And
so had that run for many years before you took over it? I guess it was a smaller festival. If it was just one day.
What do you mean before we took on the Wanch?
The festival had been there before, right?
No, I hadn't. No.
Oh, so you started it when you took over?
We basically did it as a one-day event to publicise the fact that the Wanch was under new ownership with fresh life to get people to come back.
And how important has it been to the story of the Wanch since you've been involved?
Well, let's just say the first year was one day, and then people were like, "Oh, that was great. Next time you do it, can we play?" Sure, yeah. So the following year it was 2 days, then it became 4 days,
You
then
have
it
people
became
from
7
outside
days.
Hong Kong there as well.
Yeah, well this is how it this is what happened. More and more with every passing year, more people wanted to play, and then people started hearing about it from overseas, and they said, "Oh, if we could be in town that week, could we play?" And well, we can't fly you here, and we're not going to pay for your hotel or anything. But if you want to come here, we're happy to hear your music and make you feel welcome in any way we can. So yeah, we have had visiting artists on, yeah, but also the Wanch is primarily a platform for local artists to sort of exercise their muse or whatever the expression is. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I kind of have had a similar background. I ran a comedy club in Shanghai for a long time before coming down here to open one, and we had a festival. It was kind of a peak in the year of stuff that we were doing, but it was
a showcase.
We didn't fly people in for it. We said, there's open spots for anybody that wants to apply, and it's. I noticed that you had bands from Cambodia, not necessarily Cambodians, but people that came from there. Did you feel like there was a regional scene that you were connecting with?
I would love there to be, but the honest answer is no, there isn't a regional
scene. Because like in
scene.
mainland China, if you're in Shanghai, do you know Shanghai at all? Like they have a venue.
I know Inferno.
There's a venue that would be comparable called Yuyintang.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
And it's sort of grassroots, awesome. People get an opportunity. But if you kind of make it there, or if you can establish yourself there, you've got all these cities around China that people then just kind of go on tour. Is there some an analogous development part? Like how do bands develop? How do bands develop in Hong Kong?
Well, that's a whole. Let's do the first question first, right? Is there a network right now? No. Could there be?
Of course, COVID, absolutely not.
No. I mean, no. Anyway, even pre-COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
Could there be? Yes, definitely, and I would love there to be. I mean, the Sleeves are one of the few bands in Hong Kong that do go and travel and play in other parts of the region, but we're doing that largely at our own expense. And so we're probably not typical of your average indie musician in the sense that they don't tend to have disposable income. If music is their life, as opposed to they work during the daytime and they do the music as well, then having the financial wherewithal to go and travel around the region playing gigs is not as easily to do. I think it's easier if you're a Singaporean band, because they get support from the government to go and do that, and we've gone and played at events in Manila, for example, where the Singaporean bands were there at the expense of their government, but we were there at our own expense. So
pretty cool way to travel around, though, right?
Oh, it's great fun. I mean, for us, it's a bit like guys going on golf trips together.
Yeah, exactly.
So we take guitar bags instead of golf bags. But,
we used to have this thing because, like, comedy, the advantage is that we don't have any equipment. It's one person, but the people that are in the situation that you're talking about, they're like, hey, can we bring 5 of us? Like, we'll pay.
Yeah.
We just want to go get pissed in another city and do a show.
Yeah. No, exactly. And we that's basically what we do. But I think, of all those bands that I mentioned to you earlier, like the hundreds of bands that exist in Hong Kong, how many of those have ever reached out to venues or promoters elsewhere outside of Hong Kong, booked flights, booked hotels, gone there and played gigs? Probably less than 10.
Are there any sort of like the star stories of people what's the furthest anyone's sort of taken it in terms of rock in Hong Kong?
I don't know. I mean, it's all indie DIY under the radar stuff. I'm not aware of. I mean, the guys from DP, they've played at what's that festival out in the States?
Which one? The huge one?
S6, South by Southwest.
Oh, that's massive. Yeah.
They played at that.
That's as big as it gets.
Yeah. No, so I mean, there are.
It's either that or Coachella.
Yeah. Well, so they played at that. I think there's a band called Shumking Mansion here that have played up at. There's an event in Seoul in Korea called. What's that one called?
Is that it? Is that the name? I don't speak Korean.
But I mean, we're talking about isolated incidents over a couple of decades here.
Sure.
So there isn't.
When you're talking about a nascent scene, even if it is a couple of decades long, it's still in that level of development. I look at Shanghai. It was a similar situation. It was maybe a little bit more things going on, but it was like a pyramid of opportunity.
It could be done.
The bulk of it were people not taking it very seriously.
Well, I don't think that matters either, but it could be done.
Which
I think it starts with the
fun.
venues.
Yeah.
You know, and because, for example, at the Wanch, the Sleeves is a band that likes to tour, and obviously I have access to the Wanch, so I'm able to offer, reciprocal gigs. So I can say to any band in the region, if you can organise a gig for us to come and play with you in your city, then I can definitely guarantee you a slot at the Wanch. But the number of bands that took me up on that, 5 maybe.
Wow.
So we had a band over from Hanoi, had a band down from Shenzhen, but very few. Whether that's just the transient nature of people in bands generally in Asia, or whether it's just venues just come and go, right? I mean, you can do have a reciprocal idea, and then by the time you get around to doing it, the other venue's not there anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Wanch did manage to put a good 40 years down.
Yeah, no, I wasn't talking about the Wanch. I was talking about the other places where they go, oh, we could have had you back. Well, that venue doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's shut down by the authorities if it's in China or whatever it might be. Yeah. So I would love there to be a circuit, and I would love there to be a network of venues at that similar level, that kind of indie grassroots level, where bands that had the balls to get out there and travel could be playing somewhere every 2 or 3 months.
So what does a great night at the Wanch look like to you? What's a good night?
A good night? Well, as a customer or as a performer?
Both, whatever.
Or as an owner?
All three. Let's do all three.
Well, in a way, I suppose it's the same, actually. So the answer's probably the same. I mean, we would have an acoustic performer on from 6 till 9, so it would be come down, catch up with your friends, it's not too loud, couple of drinks, ease into the evening, then 9:30, there'd be, between 9:30 and say 1:30, there'd be 3 or 4 different bands on, and probably a mixture of originals, and for me personally I prefer original music, so it would be original music for me, maybe some covers towards the end of the night when the beers are kicked in and you just want to kind of scream along. And
how late do you
fun.
guys run?
Well, I always use the line, we'll keep the band playing as long as you guys keep drinking, so which doesn't always go down well with the staff, but yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon to finish at 2:30, 3 o'clock, sometimes even later on a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, sure.
Probably 1:30.
Tuesday's a big ask.
Well, even Tuesdays, we've had some big Tuesdays. 1:32. But yeah, I mean, if it's a quiet
How do you
night.
go keeping a day job and then being at this like?
Well, I try not to go down there too often.
And you got kids as well.
Well, and also I drink, so that's probably the worst part. The sleep deprivation you can sort of manage, but the hangovers get worse as you get older.
Yeah. Well, also I just find that like if you work in a bar, either you drink every night or you never drink, because nobody's got the self-control to live in the middle.
I'm not there every night because I do have day job, but John, who's the main owner, and Bridget, his partner, they tend to be on the premises more than I am. I mean, John in particular, but he's in Australia at the moment, but when he's in town, he will be there. He's more the face of the bar than I am, certainly in the evenings.
Now, I don't mean this question in a respective sense at all, and we can talk about the future in a minute, but what do you view and what do you hope the legacy of the Wanch is?
Well, the obvious answer to that question is I hope that we're not into the legacy stage.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, you could have a legacy
Uh,
before you shut down, right?
Well, yeah, okay. Well, so first and foremost, I hope that the Wanch is back very, very soon. And the circumstances that have been forced upon us with the protests, and then the.
Do you have to change the name if you change suburbs?
I don't know.
You gotta
Maybe we
call
won't
it
have to change
Called
suburbs.
the Admiral.
That could attract a different sort of crowd. Well, so first and foremost, I hope the Wanch is back very soon, and I know that that's the intention and the desire of everybody involved previously with the Wanch. So that is to have it back.
Also, what a great time to open when you can't have big events. People just need to do something because they can't travel. Like we opened up in July.
Yeah.
We're fucking killing it. Like it was a great time to be open.
For about 3 weeks.
4 weeks, I think.
Yeah. So we want to be back. I mean, how do we want people to think of the Wanch, not remember it?
Well,
Because I don't want to think about it as a
okay,
passive historic.
but people live here and they go. What do you want people to say?
We want them to have a great time, and we want them to come back again. We want them to have such a good time that they want to come back themselves, and they want to bring their friends back and show off about the fact that they found it first, because you got to come to this. You got to come to the Wanch. Let me take you to the Wanch. It's such a good place. You will love it. Is what I want to hear people.
Do you
saying
remember
to
the
their
first
friends.
time you went in there?
Hopefully not. No. Hopefully nobody remembers the first time they were in there because they had such a good time that they stayed and got absolutely wasted and couldn't remember a thing.
But what was the point when
no,
you
not
looked
really.
at it and you were like, "Yeah, I want to put some time into this"?
When I thought it was going to shut.
Okay, so like
That's how I got
2010.
I got
because they got
involved.
affected by SARS as well, right?
They did, but the person who owned it at that time wasn't living in Hong Kong, and he was sole owner, so hence it was a bit neglected.
Don't remember that.
But I got involved because I thought it was going to shut. I went there a couple of times in 26, 27, and I can't remember exactly what year it was, and the chain was on the door with a notice saying that water's going to be turned off and all this sort of thing. And then a week later, it was open again. I was like, oh, yeah, thank God. And then the next week, oh, it's shut again. There's another, chains are back on the door. Next week, it was open again. So that's how I got involved, because I went up to the bar and said, well, what's going on? This place shuts. It's like a bloody sanctuary for me. I mean, I can't imagine. It would seriously affect my quality of life if this bar was not here as a customer. I wasn't even in bands or anything at that stage. That's how I met John and how I got involved and said, look, whatever I can do to help. I need this place to be here for my sanity. And it took us 2 or 3 years before we took it on officially. So that's kind of the legacy I would like. Is it's kind of a sanctuary. It's good for mental health. It's a community for music lovers. Not even if you're not in a band but you like music. I like to see people come in there on their own because you don't have to arrange to meet people there. You can come in on your own, and you know that you'll be surrounded by people that have something in common with, and then get to make friends enjoying the music together.
How was it when you first took it over? Did you any big challenges?
Yeah, I mean, we had to. The biggest one was to get people to come back, because I was talking to friends about.
It had been a bit forgotten at that point.
Totally, yeah. And I would say to getting involved with the Wanch, and we're saying, typically the answer was, "Is that place still there?" And that would say exactly that's the point. That's what everyone says, is it's still there. People don't even realise it's still there. Well, it is.
Not a good sign.
Yeah. So, we needed to. We got people involved originally by asking them to choose the wines that we were going to stock. So that was kind of a way of saying, if you don't like the wine, well, you chose it.
Yeah, you picked it. You picked it down here.
So that was, and it also got people in because everyone likes free booze. So we did some tasting sessions and just getting the music content happening again, making the bands feel appreciated as well. So that spreads very quickly, and bands want somewhere to play, right? And if they feel like the place they're playing is appreciating them and looking after them and treating them with respect, then that's a positive vibe that feeds through the scene really quickly. So we got to the point where we had more bands wanting to play than we could fit in. So that's great, right? I mean, and that's another reason why we did the festival, was to try and give all those other bands a chance.
Do you feel like there was a point where you're like, we got it, like we figured it out, we're busy in it enough?
That was just before the business got decimated by the protests. No, we were doing okay. Look, I mean, if you do too okay in this town, the landlord comes tapping on your shoulder.
Yeah, right.
No, we were doing okay. That we had a formula. It worked. People were coming down. It was, we were paying the bills. If we got it right all year round, there was a bit of pocket money left for us as a treat. So it was good, and that all changed in, what are we now, 2020?
Mid last year,
July, mid 2018,
July, August last year.
Yeah, because we're located halfway between Victoria Park and the government building.
And now we're just getting smashed, right?
So that was kind of a no-go zone for and always at weekends, which of course is our busy time.
Yeah,
so, we did hurt pretty badly in the second half of last year.
Do you remember that going down? Like, were you ever there when tear gas in the streets and all of that?
Absolutely, it was right outside at sometimes. Yeah.
I bet it was probably inside as well, more than once.
Well, we've never done the open fronted thing, so we only had the door.
But even I don't know how well your door's sealed, but
yeah,
I know plenty of place. You get tear gas out in the streets, unless you've got.
We just told people we'd invested in dry ice.
Yeah.
No, it was. It was difficult.
I got gas standing in the California Tower lobby. I got like a lot of gas hit us there.
Yeah, the main thrust of it was along Hennessy Road, right? So we're a couple of blocks away from that. But the problem we had was that people obviously didn't want to go out to Wanch when all that was going on, and then there was the issue with getting home afterwards, and you couldn't get the MTRs were closed. And then taxis.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Taxis super annoying.
Taxis wouldn't go to those areas.
They were shutting at like 10 or something.
Yeah. So it was just so much deterrent. It was the knock-on impact of not the protests themselves or the reaction to that, but just the transport situation was enough to people. People don't want the hassle of not knowing how they're going to get home at the end of a night. And
getting the buses is a pain.
Well, buses were blocked, roads were blocked. Taxis wouldn't go into the Wanch because it's just a war zone. So it was very difficult. So people just wouldn't come out, and that just killed us really.
Yeah, and it's like people not in Hong Kong forget that the virus hit us in January, way earlier.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, like we were on the back of 7 or 8 months of having
which
it's
is
been pretty hard to run an F&B place here.
Totally. I mean, it's now, what are we now, November, right? So it's about 16 months really of seriously impacted business, and from the Wanch's point of view, it just couldn't sustain it any longer. You can't keep paying the rent when you've got no income, and then forced closures this year. Off the back of significantly reduced revenues last year. So even this year, apart from those 3 or 4, halcyon weeks in the middle of the summer when we had the festival, there was a period when we were allowed to open, but we couldn't have live music.
Yeah,
so
we got hit with that as well.
That's just like that was even.
No one's coming in to drink at a comedy club if you don't have shows.
Yeah, it's the same. So it's in fact it was almost more soul destroying because you're open, but so the staff have got to be there. And a few people come in out of support, and we appreciated that at the time. But a Wanch without live bands on is a pretty sad place to be, really.
Yeah, comedy club's same.
Yeah, so that was
the other thing for us is like, I don't know if you had this, but we had periods of time where the audience had to have masks on, they couldn't have drinks, and the comedian had to have a mask on as well.
Yeah, well, that's where we're at right now.
It's like if you're just
live music's there now, and
you're trying to comically fuck up a show.
Try playing saxophone.
That's a pretty good way to do it. Yeah. They cut the hole.
I don't know what's the situation is on that, but now we've, nobody really knew what the rules were. Well, not so much what the rules were, about how you are supposed to implement those rules. So this barrier
there was
between
ambiguity.
the band and the audience, and we interpreted it as best we could, not just from a compliance point of view, but also from a genuine desire to keep our customers safe, right?
It's a dick move to force them into uncomfortable situations when they come out.
Yeah, look, as far as I'm aware, there were no cases arose from our festival, so we must have done something right.
Touch wood.
Yeah, well, I think we'd have known by now, right? It was in July.
So what's the state of the music scene now? Are you keeping much of a handle on what the bands are doing?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm organising a festival for
other than your own, of course. Are you guys playing gigs now?
Yeah, we played one last Wednesday, and I'm with my sort of promoter hat on.
And where are you doing that?
We're doing it at a bar called Rio's in Wanch. So I've got a 4-day thing. I'm just organising the bands now. So that'll be 25 bands from the 26th to the 29th of November. So those, and of course everyone's stuck in town, right? So usually it's like, I don't know yet.
Sell out hard.
Well, usually people are like, I don't know whether my guitarist is around because he's a pilot or something, and it's like,
I tell you, he's going to be there.
Yeah. So this time, I think I've only had one band out of the 25 that said, she's actually left Hong Kong, so we can't do it. We're trying to look for a new bassist or whatever. But everybody else is in town, available, desperate to play, probably a bit rusty. So yeah, it should be good. Hopefully we'll have a good turnout and it'll be a good long weekend.
So what's the location for that? How can people find out about that?
Well, I haven't started pushing it out there yet because I'm still getting the lineup sorted.
But it'll be on Ticket Flat?
It's going to be called, it's free. It'll be free to go in. It's called Rock at Rio. And I'll put up a Facebook event page soon. And hopefully the social media will do its magic, and bands will help to promote it, and the word will be out there. So yeah, Rock at Rio, Thursday the 26th to Sunday the 29th of November. And the sleeves, well, because we can't gig, but we need to get our music mojo. We've been writing music actually. So we've actually had a pretty productive year in that sense.
You ever recorded anything?
Yeah, we've got 3 albums out.
Oh, nice.
We've now written a new one. So normally it would take us, 4 or 5 years between all the other plates that we spin.
How long have you guys been playing together?
Since about 2008.
Damn.
The current lineup's probably 5 or 6 years. Yeah. So we've got 12 songs written. If we can ever get on a plane somewhere, last time we went to Cambodia to record.
So you record out in the road?
Well, we like to just.
How hard is that?
It's fun, right? Because if you do it here, you're working in the daytime, then popping into a studio in the evening, and you've got 4 hours, and you might not be in the zone for that day if you've had a rough day at work or whatever, and it takes a long time because you've got to keep going back each week to do a little bit more. And so we found with the last album we did, we just went for a week to Siem Reap, and we recorded it. We literally were in the studio every day for a week, kind of a bit grown up, if you like. And
so you're not playing live gigs there, you're just in a studio?
We did play one at each end of the week, and then we spent 6 days in a studio recording, which was great because you can leave the equipment set up exactly how you left it.
That's
don't
great.
have to pack anything
Probably
away.
pretty cheap there as well, I guess.
Well, I think we worked out that
Compared to Hong Kong.
compared to doing it here, it worked out the same because if you factored in the flights and the
hotels,
and so on, but it was it felt like proper band going away for a week to record, and I think we'd like to do that again. We enjoyed that experience, and there were a few things we learned we probably wouldn't do the second time around, but yeah, like doing the gigs at either end and drinking throughout the process was not a great idea, but
yeah,
it's quite exhausting to record actually, and really enjoyed the process and enjoyed the fact that we did it as a week together, band of brothers sort of stuff. So we'd probably do that again.
You ever do Hanoi?
We did, yeah.
Dan Dockery? It's a big music guy there.
Not under that name. Has he got on any other pseudonyms?
I don't know, probably. British guy, runs a lot of music stuff out there.
Okay, no, we didn't. We played at a place called Rock City.
I'm sure
Hanoi
anything that
Rock
was there,
City.
he'd be involved in some.
Yeah, maybe he was there. We played with a great band who have actually come back and reciprocated and played at the Wanch called Sirens of Halong. Really cool band. I think the lead singer is I don't know whether he's Vietnamese ethnic brought up in the UK or whether he's mixed race, but he's got a very Manchester accent.
That's great.
But he sings in English and in Vietnamn's.
Got a Manchester accent in Vietnamese.
And it's a very indie sound, very cool band. Sirens of Halong. Yeah.
I've always loved that though. It's always interested me when we've managed to cross culture in, getting on stage and stuff like that. It's one thing to have a bunch of white guys performing to a bunch of white guys in a different city, but it's another thing when you start to get the locals bringing in their point of view and their perspective and language, and that's when it starts to you get unique stuff pops out.
Yeah, look, I mean, when we go to we've played a few gigs in southern China. We can go across the border and
Shenzhen, Guangzhou.
Yeah, in Guangdong province anyway. Huizhou we played at, and the atmosphere is very different to playing at the Wanch, for example, where people have gone down to watch bands and live music.
Whereas there you're like the one thing to do.
We're kind of like the soundtrack to the evening they were going to have anyway.
Okay, right.
Right,
yeah.
so they're in there with their dice games and their towers of beer.
Oh, you're playing for local.
So it could, So
okay.
it could be. Quite often it's a full house, but really,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
We could be the Beatles for all they care.
Yeah,
and in fact, sometimes we say we are.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's right.
If you liked us with the sleeves, if you didn't like us
I'm John
with
Lennon, I've heard of him.
Yeah, exactly. So
See, for stand-up, it's like, I know it's not great for music, but for stand-up, if they're not paying attention, you are dying. Like,
it's okay for music, although I'd rather they were kind of enjoying it.
Sure.
Just standing there. It depends how big the check is.
Stand-up's very dependent on them paying attention for it to even remotely work.
Yeah, I can't. I think I would be. I mean, I have varying degrees of apprehension about gigs that we play outside of Hong Kong and inside Hong Kong, for that matter. In terms of how's this going to go and what's the reaction going to be. But I think if I was doing stand-up, I would be just because that can be, what's funny in one culture is probably just horrendous.
Yeah, I don't know. You get better at figuring it out. Like there's humor transcends cultures. Like you just got to find the contact points. You don't want to be talking about stuff. You can't be making jokes about the suburb of Wanch or whatever,
right?
Because they're not going to get that. But you can talk about what it's like being in, the grungy part of town, and boom, everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. Have you been to the Overstay in Bangkok?
I haven't,
You know
no.
that place?
No.
I went in there one night thinking it was going to be music, and it was actually stand-up comedy. And
I'm sure I know the guys that have done it.
I'm not sure this was a. It may not. I don't think this was a cultural issue. I think it was just a not very funny guy.
Bangkok's not known for its high quality stand up. What is that venue? Is it a 3-story venue and the room's on the top floor? I've played a few venues there, but I actually don't remember the names of any of them.
It is up some steps and so on, but yeah, again.
Anyway, whatever. I can't remember the names of the places I've played there, but yeah. Well, that's kind of. I'm sure you can relate to this. In fact, I saw you mention it in an interview talking about H2 is when you're doing grassroots, we're not expecting to bring out 10 of the best bands you've ever heard, but we're going to see some different stuff. I think you said maybe you like some of them are...
That's right.
You don't
well,
love,
yeah,
like that's part
buffet,
of the
right?
that's part of the night. Yeah, buffet, right?
It's a buffet. You're not necessarily going to, go back and refill your plate from every dish, but you might try a bit of everything and then take more of the ones you like, and
then get violent diarrhea at the end of it.
Well, each their own. So
do buffets even exist anymore? Is that did COVID kill the concept of a buffet?
I don't think it's helped it. Isn't it? It's like the Buggles video killed the radio star. COVID killed the buffet star or whatever. Yeah, I like buffets actually, as you can probably see.
Depends how good
I like
they
the curry buffets, and the ones that I used to go to don't exist anymore.
Curry's
so
like the
really
only
annoying.
buffet where you can go, most of this could be decent.
Yeah. Yeah, the one near my office is not open at the moment, but I think there's the one in JoJo's.
There's one in Wanch that's
they're still
awesome.
going. Yeah.
Is that JoJo's? It's on the second floor on a corner.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, above...
on Lockhart Road.
But yeah, above Typhoon. That one's
Martin Haig took me there.
I think that one's still going.
That place is great, yeah.
I think they're still doing buffet.
I ate there not that long ago. I'm going to say a few months ago.
You're still here.
Killer. Yeah.
Well, no, killers.
Yeah, I just got out of hospital. No, that is a joke. That place is great. I mean...
Yeah, that's you'll be hearing from their lawyers, right?
Yeah. So yeah, before we get out of here, what do you think's the future for the Hong Kong scene, and what can we look forward to from a potential Wanch?
Hopes for next year, I think, because I think we're probably already at the point where we're talking about 2021 rather than what's going to happen in the next couple of months.
We're in November; it's inevitable.
Well, end of November, my festival. I'm looking forward to that. So come to that. It's Rock at Rio. For next year, what I hope is that. I think what most people are hoping for is that 2021 is the bounce back, and that all that sort of pent up desire to be with our fellow human safely is manifests
Shake
itself
hands with someone, give them a hug.
Yeah, it manifests itself in the form of really well attended, fantastic events. And with my Magnetic Asia hat on, we're obviously hoping there's going to be Clockenflap next year, and that it's going to be the biggest and best Clockenflap ever. Everyone's
that was brutal when I guess you went with them when they cancelled the last one.
Yeah,
but it was brutal watching them go through that because it was just getting worse and worse around that time. I think when it was supposed to be held, is it like November?
It's November. It's usually November. Yeah,
so just 2 weeks when just protests suddenly appeared everywhere in the city. We went from having protests in that location on that day to just being there's people running around. Yeah.
So, all we're hearing from people is, we can't wait for next year.
I got VIP tickets last year. I'm
that's why you're gutted. Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. Well, look, all we're hearing from people is, I'll be so good when you guys are back. It's going to be brilliant. We're definitely going to come. It's going to be fantastic. So, we're going to put on the show that everyone tells us they think they want. And they just better come.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm sure they will, man.
But I'm hoping that the whole year is, obviously we want either we need to find a way to gather in groups safely, or we need a solution to COVID, or preferably both. And then let it flow in terms of events and live music, and I hope that people who've not been able to enjoy live music this year, as a result of that, realise what they're missing, and when it's available again, they come back and fill their boots.
Yeah, I reckon.
And then if that happens, then the Wanch will be back. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just know that it's like you said, when there's enough people out there that have that need and that desire for it, you just know you're going to open it up. There's a market to tap straight into.
Well, yeah, I mean, the risk is, of course, that in the year that there hasn't been much to do, then people have found other things to do. But
I don't reckon people change that fast.
I don't either, and I'm pretty optimistic. But yeah, we just need to get.
They're going to play mahjong for a year and fucking hate it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm hoping that there's this massive pent up demand for live music, live events, and as soon as we get a green light, then there's a lot of people like me who have got stuff in our back pocket ready to roll out, and we just want to do it, right? But we want to do it safely, and we want to do it in a way that lots of people can come and enjoy it. Not necessarily, 2s, 3s and 4s in little pockets.
Well, thanks so much for coming on today.
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it, man.
Me.
Yeah, I'm going to put the a link to the Rio Rock Festival in the description if and when it comes out. And yeah, good luck. I hope it happens soon.
Well, I expect to see you there.
With bells on.
No pressure.